Because I said it to people that we consider powerful with the bag. Oh my God, listen, Oprah, Tyler, Lee, they have expiration dates just like me.
Yeah.
Now, until they elevate, I'm gonna look at them like human beings.
And almost had to walk away from Color Purple. Yes, ma'am. Who said what? Yes, ma'am.
So it looks like Monique has something to say about this whole Taraji P. Henson versus Oprah situation, and you'll better listen to Monique next time she speaks because no one knows better than she does. How shady Oprah can be. Taraji recently made waves by revealing she almost walked away from the new Color Purple remake produced by Oprah because they were trying to lowball her. Taraji first had a moment on Oprah's bestie Gayle King show, and she let it all out saying she's thinking about ditching acting. G for good because she's straight up tired of always having to beg for what's fair. But Taraji is not the only one speaking out. Remember when Monique put Oprah, Tyler Perry, and Lee Daniels on blast for freezing her out? They labeled her difficult just because she said no to doing this movie tour. Without getting paid and her career never fully recovered from that, fans are now saying Oprah owes Monique a huge apology, and they're shouting from the rooftops how Oprah, the richest black woman in the world, is not doing enough for black women in the industry who are still dealing with this pay mess. But how does Monique feel about this whole P situation? And how come Taraji was silent when Monique called out Oprah years ago? Let's get into it.
See, what happens is you get caught up in her money and her status. So, Monique, how could you say that? Because it's true. Because no one is saying to that black woman, how could you throw that sister under the bus?
So in case you missed it, Oprah is catching flack once again after Taraji P. Henson spilled the tea about how she got treated unfairly in the paycheck department and almost walked away from the new Color Purple adaptation. This new remake of The Color Purple is a collab between Oprah's Harpo Films, Steven Spielberg's Ambulant Entertainment, SGS Pictures, and Quincy Jones Productions, the same companies behind the 1985 version, where Oprah played the role of Sophia. Now you'd think someone like Taraji, veteran in the game for over 2 decades, and an Oscar nominee wouldn't have to beg for a fair paycheck, especially in a big movie like The Color Purple with Oprah backing it. But that's not what happened, and according to Taraji, the first offer they gave her was straight up disrespectful, and they wouldn't budge until she threatened to leave the project. Taraji first spilled the beans during a chat with Oprah's bestie Gayle King, and said she's seriously considering quitting acting because she's fed up with this fight for fair pay. Taraji explained that black actresses, even seasoned ones like she is, still have to scrap for what's theirs every time they step onto a new set. And listen, Gayle looked shook because Taraji was there to talk The Color Purple, and all Gayle kept saying was how she gets where Taraji is coming from.
And I heard
And then Taraji dished on The Color Purple, saying she almost walked away from Oprah's project because the offer they put on the table was humiliating.
And if I can't fight for them coming up behind me, then what the am I doing? I'm sorry.
yeah.
20 plus years in the game, and I hear the same thing, and I see what you do for another production, and when it's time for us to go to bed, you don't have any money. They play in your face.
Now, Taraji didn't drop Oprah's name directly, but she seemingly slid in a sly jab talking about how women in power need to step up and lift others up in the game.
As a black woman, you know, we do it with so much grace and get paid half the price of what we're worth. And that becomes difficult. And it's a slap in my face when people go, oh, you work all the time. Well, I have to, because the math ain't mathing.
By the way, even before this interview, fans peeped that Taraji wasn't in the mood while promoting the color purple. You could really read the vibes, especially if you paid attention to the body language between her and Oprah. Now, when this whole thing blew up on social media, Taraji and Oprah both tried to do some damage control and shared posts praising each other, but like I said, the vibes were off and these post hosts screamed the studio made us do it. But listen, Taraji isn't the first one to throw hints like this out at Oprah, and she's probably playing it safe because we all know what went down with Monique when she publicly accused Oprah of blackballing her back in 2009. The Oprah-Monique beef ignited when Precious hit the screens, directed by Lee Daniels and produced by Oprah and Tyler Perry. Oprah and Tyler wanted to send Monique on an overseas press tour, but they didn't want to drop a dime and told her she'd have to do it for free. Monique, however, turned down the offer and said he'd rather spend that time with her family. Keep in mind that by that point, Monique had already fulfilled all her contractual obligations for Precious, because if she hadn't, they would have sued her for breach of contract. That didn't happen so clearly. They just tried to get some unpaid labor from her. According to Monique, she and Oprah had a little chat and agreed to disagree. But guess what? Next thing you know, the press slapped Monique with labels like difficult and hard to work with, and then Oprah pulled an even shadier move that totally broke their work relationship. See, before Precious was released, Monique opened up to Essence magazine about how her older brother Gerald saw her, and how her parents didn't believe her when she reported it. Now fast forward to 2010, and Oprah decided to invite Gerald onto her show to talk about what he did to Monique.
So that's why that Benjamin Button story hit so hard, because all I was asking was for $500,000. I wasn't trying to take nothing from Brad Pitt or Kate Winslet, Blanchett. They deserve to earn what they get because they work their asses off for it. I so too worked my off.
Before extending an invitation to Gerald, Oprah called Monique and tried to convince her to come along. Monique told Oprah she wasn't interested in going on a talk show with a person who victimized her. Monique was also left with the impression that Gerald would be the only guest, but when the show aired, she was shocked to see that OA also brought in Monique's parents, the same ones who brushed off her set. So, in case you missed it, Oprah is catching flack once again after Taraji P. Henson spilled the tea about how she got treated unfairly in the paycheck department and almost walked away from the new Color Purple adaptation. This new remake of The Color Purple is a collab between Oprah's Harpo Film, Steven Spielberg's Ambulant Entertainment, SGS Pictures, and Quincy Jones Productions, the same companies behind the 1985 version, where Oprah played the role of Sophia. Now you'd think someone like Taraji, veteran in the game for over 2 decades, and an Oscar nominee, wouldn't have to beg for a fair paycheck, especially in a big move movie like The Color Purple with Oprah backing it. But that's not what happened, and according to Taraji, the first offer they gave her was straight up disrespectful, and they wouldn't budge until she threatened to leave the project. Taraji first spilled the beans during a chat with Oprah's bestie Gayle King and said she's seriously considering quitting acting because she's fed up with this fight for fair pay. Taraji explained that black actresses, even seasoned ones like she is, still have to scrap for what's theirs every time they step onto a new set. And listen, Gayle looked shook because Taji was there to talk The Color Purple, and all Gayle kept saying was how she gets where Taji is coming from.